One of the biggest problems that I see for guys who are pursuing a kind of more social life, a better social situation for themselves, is that they build these illusions of what their life should look like. So let me use the example from my life to kind of explain this. When I got into approaching women as part of a lifestyle, when I decided that I wasn't happy with the way things were, I needed a big change, I needed something fundamental to change in the way I lived my life, the illusions that I had about what that would look like were based on the kind of aggregate of the characters that I'd seen in the movies or the influences that I'd been watching on YouTube, particular characters, and the kind of narrative that I created upon seeing those people. You know, the way I wanted to, saw someone in a movie and I thought, wow, imagine what it would be like to be like him, to act the way he acts, and to kind of be with women in the way that he is. And I had these illusions of the type of person that I would be once I had these options. And so what started to happen is that early on, when I started approaching women, I would get results, you know, I would get phone numbers and maybe I would go on dates. But after the fact, after it had happened, I would go away feeling no better than I did before. Maybe I felt like I was one step further on my path to reaching this level of mastery, or being like that person, having that amazing charismatic personality. But as this went on, and after even a year, when I was still getting results and I still wasn't feeling confident in the way that I thought I should be feeling, like I should be feeling like this movie character, I should be like him, I should look like him, I should be acting like him, and wow, he must feel amazing. What I realized is that I had no clear idea of how I wanted to be, or even what I wanted. So when people start out, they have these illusions, they have these ideas about what they want to be like, but they've never defined actually how that would be for them. So, for example, if you are a guy that's started going out and you've started getting results, maybe you're going on a few dates, you're sleeping with a few women that you like, but you're feeling like there's people that are better than you, there's people that have what you want and you have to get there. Think to yourself, and this is super important, think to yourself, what do I actually want? There's a way of creating goals called the SMART plan, which I won't go into detail right now, but it basically means you've got to make goals that are attainable, that are traceable, you can track them, and you know you're heading directly towards things that you've planned out. So for example, if you say that you want to get better with women, what does that look like? How many women? How many women do you want to see in the average week? And what are those women like? Let me give you an example from clients that I have all the time. This is how my first conversation with a client over Skype or in person goes. It's, what do you want? I say, what do you want? And they say something along the lines of, I want to get better with women. And I say, what does that mean? And they say, you know, I want to be able to seduce women anywhere I go. I want to be able to sleep with women who I approach and meet in the day. I want to have abundance with women. And I say, well, what's abundance? And they're like a lot of women, a lot of women. I'm like, how many per week? And they're like, I don't know, 4, 5. And I'm like, but you work a 9 to 5, yeah? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, so every morning the next day, are you going to be kicking a new girl out of bed? Are you going to have enough sleep for work? And they're like, maybe not. Maybe 4. And I'm like, okay, so you're doing pretty well financially then, because each one of these is probably going to accumulate in a 40, 50 pound date for you. So you think you can afford that every night, both the time and the money? And they're like, I think you're right, maybe 3. And I'm like, okay, well, do you think that maybe some of these girls you'll want to see again? You want to see them again, or just one night stands? And they're like, actually, yeah, maybe I want to see some of them again. So maybe that's one girl that you see over a course of weeks, and then 2 new girls a week. And by this process of actually deciding based on the reality of your situation, the context in which you live, people start to get a clearer understanding of actually what they want in terms of how many times you're seeing them, even down to what do they look like, what relationship do they have with their family, where do you want to take them, where do you want to go with them, do you want to go on the typical coffee date, or do you want to go on a walk somewhere new and explore somewhere with them? And then you get down to, why do I want this? happiness? Do I want this to feel like a better person because I feel like if I'm sleeping with women, I'm going to be more internally fulfilled? Or do you want it because you've got a high sex drive? Or do you want it because you lack personal connection? And if the answer to that is that you lack personal connection, then other avenues that you could explore to find that personal connection. Maybe your relationship with your family isn't as good as it could be. Maybe your relationship with your social circle and your group of friends isn't as strong as it could be. And then again, you're even realizing even more that it's not so much getting better with women, this vague idea that you need. There are all of these physically manageable, in real time, manageable areas of your life that all are going to contribute to that feeling of betterness, that feeling that you are in a better place and that you're doing better. So it's super important before you start chasing your own tail, before you go into this with the idea that I want to be a superstar with women, I want to be amazing with women, decide what you want and actually visualize what that's going to look like in the real world. Because as soon as you have a clear visual idea and a real attainable goal of what you want, suddenly the path to getting that becomes a lot clearer, a lot more obvious, and it doesn't seem like that 10-mile hike that it was before. It's a pretty straight path. There's a few actions that you need to take. There's a certain number of approaches that you need to do in a week in order to meet a certain number of women. Out of those women that you meet, a certain number of those are going to turn to second dates, and out of those second dates, a certain number are going to turn to something more, a relationship or a one-night stand, or whatever it is you're looking for. But make sure you know what you're going after before you start chasing this vague conceptual idea. This is the first thing I do with my coaching with any clients, is we build a plan, we build a goal of what they want to achieve, because suddenly it becomes incredibly clear what we need to do in order for them to achieve those goals, what weekly routines and patterns need to be in place in order for them to be able to kind of in a relaxed and balanced way go about chasing those goals. So this is the first thing you should think if you haven't already planned what you want and decided and set your goals. Set the goals of what you want in your life. If you're not sure about what your goals should be, or you're not sure what you want, then the majority of your focus now should be on that. It should be on, well, what do I want? Because there's absolutely no point in any of this. I'm not going to feel any better if I'm chasing an idea that I haven't defined. It's like a ship setting sail from a harbor. The ship doesn't just say, right, we're going in this direction because I want to find glorious new lands and amazing places. The ship has an exact plan, an exact schedule that accounts for the wind that's going to come, the wind pressure, the tides, the potential storms that are going to come. What if one of the crew members gets sick? How long is it going to take specifically? Why are we going there? Every time a ship sets sail, it knows exactly where it's going and why it's going and how it's going to get there. So you should be the same when you're chasing goals. Don't just have this vague idea, I'm going to leave, I'm going to go start approaching and hope for the best. Get some goals, have some ideas, choose a direction, because then the path becomes interesting. And each individual approach you do, you see it as a grander part of the process, a building block in achieving a set of specific goals. So here's a little insight into the way that I do my coaching. The first session is always setting goals. And then every session after that, we go about achieving those goals. So what actions do we need to take this week? How many approaches do you need to do? Which books do you need to read? And all of the process of getting there is based around the goals that the individual has picked to achieve. So here's just a little insight into my coaching. I hope this video helps a lot of you guys who are maybe feeling a little bit lost and without direction to actually start to think about this as a process and not just as an anarchistic free-for-all in the day sometimes. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please, as always, leave any feedback, questions, comments in the comment section or email me at admin@fluid.social, and I will see you in the next video. Sam out.